Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a new Pokemon in the world of Pokemon Go, 50% form ZYGARDE. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now you can turn your ZYGARDE 10% into a ZYGARDE 50% using ZYGARDE cells you get from routes. This trainer is running a bit of an ultra rare theme team, pairing it up with a Galarian Zapdos and a Tackle Carbink, and these battles are in the Great League from when the Great League was last in rotation. So without further ado, let's up into the matches and check out 50% ZYGARDE in the Open Great League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a terrific lead, Carbink into Noctowl. Opponent save switches into Surfetched, which will be answered by the Galarian Zapdos. Surfetched has farmed up to a potential Brave Bird. We see the shield from the Galarian Zapdos, and that proves to be a massive shield, as this Surfetched does have the Brave Bird. In comes Noctowl, but Noctowl is not going to appreciate the back-to-back Ancient Powers here. Ancient Power number 1 into the Noctowl will be no shielded, throw in one more counter, and the CMP tie on Ancient Power number 2. Very nice play. Opponent forced to give the shield back, and now they can't even farm down. So they have no energy. They have to rely on that final Pokemon to sweep, and in the back, they have Chestnut. Now, Chestnut is going to be a bit awkward here, but the good news is the Carbink is running Tackle. So as opposed to Rock Throw, which would be heavily resisted here, with Tackle, Carbink can actually deal some chip damage. Going to bait here with the Rock Slide. Rock Slide bait gets the shield. In comes ZYGARDE. ZYGARDE farming up these Dragon Tails, adding up quite a bit onto the Chestnut. Chestnut goes for the Frenzy Plant. ZYGARDE going for the Crunch. Crunch is going to be resisted into the Chestnut here. Is this going to be enough to KO? It is not. Chestnut with the 1 HP survive, making it to the Frenzy Plant. ZYGARDE able to hang on. In comes Noctowl. It's going to be a race, and the ZYGARDE hangs on, making it to the Crunch. Crunch KOs the Noctowl, and that's a good game. Moving into the next match, now with ZYGARDE on the lead, and it leads into a Deoxys. Due to the ground subtyping, Deoxys is going to be forced to go for Psycho Boost in this matchup. Psycho Boost will connect. ZYGARDE able to hang on. Opponent is going to send in Lickitung, farming up to the Earthquake, baiting with the Crunch, hoping to try and grab a shield from the opponent, but Lickitung does not fall for the bait. In comes Galarian Zapdos. Galarian Zapdos is going to be no shield in the first body slam, but I believe if the Zapdos tries to farm down, Licky is going to make another move, and they do. So Zapdos is going to be forced to commit the shield as it commits to the farm down here. Zapdos will leave with a massive amount of energy, however, and a Brave Bird from a Galarian Zapdos can typically grab a shield back from just about anything. Opponent is going to send in Noctowl, and oh man, that Noctowl is going to have a terrible day against the Carbink in the back, and they shield the Noctowl as well. Oh no, that is not looking good for the opponent. Not the double shield. In comes Carbink, and there's just nothing they can do. I mean, it's a Tackle Carbink, so they're only taking neutral damage, but still, this matchup is absolutely awful for Noctowl. Farming up with the Carbink and firing off the Rock Slide into the Noctowl. No shields remaining for the opponent. They already double shielded their Noctowl. They're going to have to take that super effective Rock Slide. In comes the Shadow Ball into the Carbink. Opponent is going to send back in Deoxys. Deoxys can't get the farm down as ZYGARDE makes the Crunch. Crunch into the Deoxys. That will leave a mark. Deoxys cannot get the farm down. It's a simultaneous KO, and Carbink makes the Rock Slide as the opponent concedes the match. We've got an interesting lead in the next match. ZYGARDE 50% going up against Shadow Victory Bell. Farming up with the ZYGARDE, able to outpace and make it to the Crunch. Shadow Victory Bell users love to shield, and this one is no different. Unfortunately, no debuff seen from the Crunch. ZYGARDE going to shield, looking to try and make a play for switch. Leaf Tornado gets the debuff, and that proves to be a deciding factor. In comes Zapdos to counter down. Opponent sends in a Bastiodon into the Zapdos. Whatever they have in back does not want to see a Galarian Zapdos with energy. Zapdos is going to be shielding up the Stone Edge and is looking for the full farm down here. These neutral smackdowns are adding up quite a bit in the back. It's a Medicham, and this game is over. Going for the Brave Bird. They can shield it, but now they have nothing to prevent the Moonblast, and the opponent concedes the match. Great lead in the next match. Carbink into Shadow Dragonite. Opponent save switches into Registeel, which will be answered with ZYGARDE. ZYGARDE, of course, has the triple resist on the Zap Cannon. Opponent is going to go for the Focus Blast. ZYGARDE committing an early shield, wanting to preserve some HP, over farming. No baits here, going straight for the Earthquake. Do they respect it? They do not, and down goes Registeel. Opponent can't really afford to send the Dragonite into a full health Dragon Tail user, but that's exactly what they do. Dragon Tails shredding through the Dragonite. ZYGARDE able to hang on, withstanding the Dragon Breath, making it to the crunch, and grabbing a shield from the Dragonite. In the back, it's Cresselia, in comes Zapdos, and unfortunately Zapdos is in a difficult situation here. Zapdos is going to expend the final shield as Cresselia fires off the Moonblast. Zapdos farming up energy, trying to make it to the back-to-back Ancient Powers, and gets there. Zapdos will win CMP over Cresselia. Let's see if they click the move right away, and they do. Opponent now stuck in a CMP tie when they would definitely love to overfarm. Zapdos gets the boost. Is this going to be enough to survive the Moonblast? Still not. Zapdos gets KO'd, but Carbink is just way too bulky, and Carbink should comfortably be able to take this game. Cress does have Grass Knot, but it's not going to matter. Carbink goes for the Moonblast. What a beautiful catch by the opponent, catching the Moonblast onto the Dragonite. Back in comes Cresselia, but even with that catch, I don't think it's going to be enough for the opponent to win this game. Grass Knot does get the Carbink low, but they need another Grass Knot, and they cannot get there. Carbink makes the Rock Slide, taking out Cresselia, and securing the win. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Carbink into Noctowl. Opponent safe switches into Shadow Quagsire, which will be answered with the Galarian Zapdos. So Zapdos can tank a neutral Stone Edge here, but it would do a lot of damage, so Zapdos opting to preserve HP is going to commit a shield. Zapdos overfarming quite a bit, going for the Ancient Power on the CMP tie here. Ancient Power is resisted, but gets a shield from the Quagsire. Does Zapdos want to preserve HP here? The answer is yes. Double shielding, getting the full counter down, and leaving with a massive amount of energy to threaten the Noctowl. And as we've seen, after a couple counters, 2 Ancient Powers are enough to KO. So the opponent either has to give up their entire Noctowl, or instead, we see a beautiful catch, saving all the energy on the Zapdos and catching onto the Carbink. In the back, it's Lantern, and this opponent is in an incredibly difficult situation here. That Zapdos is absolutely loaded on energy, and Carbink will be able to put in some work versus the Lantern. Carbink going to fire off the Rock Slide here. Rock Slide into the Lantern will be no shielded after a little bit of lag. Lantern overfarming quite a bit in this matchup, allowing Carbink to make another Rock Slide and grab a shield. Lantern absolutely overfarming as much as it possibly can. And then, my guess is we will see ZYGARDE. ZYGARDE triple resisting Thunderbolt. They're going to have to go for the Surf, and they do. Surf connects. As you can see, these sparks just do absolutely no damage to the ZYGARDE. They're firing off another Surf. Surf will connect into the ZYGARDE. ZYGARDE looking for a farm down. Can't quite get there as Lantern makes a Surf. Surf connects into the ZYGARDE. It KOs. In comes the Noctowl, but Zapdos has energy. Ancient Power into the Noctowl, gets the KO. In comes the Lantern. It's a fast move race, and Zapdos gets the win. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Carbink into Medicham. This is a matchup that is helped a lot by the fact that this Carbink is running Tackle. And interestingly enough, the opponent is actually running Power Up Punch on their Medicham. So the first Power Up Punch, of course, not going to do a lot of damage, but every time they throw one of these, they just continue to boost that damage more and more and more. Carbink now into the yellow health. Carbink overfarming, going for a Rock Slide bait. The opponent is 2 stages boosted. Do they want to risk a Moonblast? They do not. They're going for a third Power Up Punch here. Counters now going to be shredding through the Carbink, but Carbink able to withstand that damage and make it to the Moonblast. Moonblast will be lethal here. Opponent commits the shield. We see an aggressive pivot into the ZYGARDE, and ZYGARDE is definitely not going to appreciate this triple boosted Power Up Punch. The Medicham as boosted of an attack stat as it can possibly have, but it will finally get removed from the field by a crunch from ZYGARDE. Let's see, Medicham out of the way. What do they have in the back? It's a Tapu Fini. ZYGARDE lagging a little bit, trying to make it to the crunch, but the water gun pressure is too much, and it gets KO'd. Now it's all up to Galarian Zapdos, all the shields in the world to hide behind, but it still has to get rid of a Tapu Fini and a yet unknown final Pokemon. Tapu Fini is able to grab the first shield from the Zapdos, and now Zapdos has to give up the final shield as a second Surf is reached as well. Let's see, Zapdos gonna need an overfarm here, goes for the overfarm and the Brave Bird, but the opponent makes a catch, catching the Brave Bird onto Lickitung. Farming up with the Zapdos here, switching into the Carbink, and now we have the battle of one-turn fast moves, Lick versus Tackle, and the Lickitung is forced to throw. Body Slam is going to KO the Carbink. They do not have 2, and the Zapdos leaves with the Brave Bird. Brave Bird into the Tapu Fini, gets the KO and the win. Carbink sees another great lead in the next match as it leads into Dubwool. Now, Dubwool's charge moves are typically walled by Carbink, Body Slam, and Payback, so the fact that they're staying in here could key us into the fact that they might be running the spicier moveset of Wild Charge. And it turns out, yes, they are running Wild Charge as they go for the back-to-back. Their defense is now going to be heavily debuffed, so odds are we probably see a switch here. In comes Sableye, and Sableye will be answered by ZYGARDE 50% form. ZYGARDE continuing to farm up. Sableye will go for the foul play, and we see a no shield from the ZYGARDE. ZYGARDE able to withstand that damage, and now gonna go for the Crunch. Crunch will deal some solid chip damage onto the Sableye. Sableye commits the shield and gets debuffed. These Dragon Tails are chunking, and they're forced to fire off a charge move. Honestly, I like the no shield of the ZYGARDE here, and to use it as an opportunity exactly to get a big farm down with the Galarian Zapdos. Even a resisted foul play would do solid chip damage. In the back, it's going to be a Noctowl, and Noctowl against Zapdos is a bit awkward for the Zapdos, and the Zapdos has an energy head start. Zapdos able to get the shield and the combo play into the Carbink with the Rock Slide. Very nicely done. Back in comes the Dubwool, but Dubwool is going to be hit with a Moonblast here, and there is absolutely a win con here. Moonblast into the Dubwool does big damage, but the Dubwool is able to hang on. I love the no shield here. At this point, honestly, you would probably rather let the Dubwool KO you so you can get farm on the Zapdos, as Zapdos with energy will be able to outpace the Noctowl, and Ancient Power will KO. So a bit of a tricky endgame there, but precision in energy management gets it done. Picking up a tough lead in the next match, tackle Carbink into Trevenant. We see the safe switch into the ZYGARDE. Trevenant is going to stay in here and get some chip damage with the Seed Bomb before they switch out. Seed Bomb connects. They're now going to send in Greninja. Greninja lightning fast with Water Shuriken, and Greninja will win CMP. We see the shield from the ZYGARDE here. ZYGARDE is going to look to try and get shields down here, because if you can get all shields down and then potentially counter down with the Zapdos, then Zapdos could reach a Brave Bird. That's probably the best chance that the team has at the moment for getting rid of the Trevenant. Farming up with the ZYGARDE, going for the Crunch. Honestly, you would much prefer the opponent's shield here, and they do. That is massive, and this sets up the perfect farm down for the Zapdos here. This is exactly what needed to happen. Greninja keeps switch advantage, but that is actually not good for them, as now the Zapdos has energy. In comes the Trevenant. Trevenant is not going to outpace the Zapdos. Zapdos with the energy head start, gets the Brave Bird, gets the one shot in the bag. It's a Registeel, and the opponent concedes the match. Hopping into the final match, picking up a tough lead, tackle Carbink into Shadow Victreebel. We see the save switch into ZYGARDE. The opponent staying in, so it looks like they do not have a good check to ZYGARDE in the back. Well, either that or they're wondering what the heck is on their screen. Crunch gets shielded. Victreebel trying to farm down, but it's a simultaneous KO. Opponent loses a massive amount of energy, and they lose a shield advantage as well. In comes the Zapdos. Zapdos will be met with Galarian Stunfisk. Zapdos up a shield is going to decide to preserve HP here. And the fact that the opponent is not switching out, could it potentially be, when you see Victreebel, you always think Bastiodon. So we do see the double shield from the Zapdos here. Is it going to be the Bastiodon? No, it is an Alolan Ninetales. So surprisingly, not a Bastiodon in the back, but Tackle Carbink can handle a Charmer very nicely. Rock Slide deals massive damage, can't quite get the KO, but at this point, there's just no win con remaining for the opponent. They can send back in the Stunfisk, but they're running out of HP. These tackles are guaranteed to at least do 1 damage, and the Shielded Charge move will as well. So Rock Slide will be shielded up, continuing to farm with the Carbink. They're forced to Earthquake here. Rock Slide does not KO. They go for the Rock Slide. That's not going to cut it. We see the combo play back into the Galar Zapdos. Brave Bird takes down the Stunfisk, and that's a good game. And I believe we have a little bit of bonus footage as well, showcasing that this set is a 5-0. Very nicely done. Now, ZYGARDE 50% is a definite upgrade over the 10% form. It has a lot better stats, and with that comes a lot more staying power, and just an ability to actually hold its own against meta Pokemon. I would say it's not meta by any means. Ideally, you're going to want to try and push for that ZYGARDE complete form, which is going to require a massive amount of ZYGARDE cells and a lot of walking of routes. But ZYGARDE Complete looks to be an absolute beast in the Open Ultra League and in the Open Master League as well. So Eventually, when someone is able to make one, it's not going to be me. I only have 2 of these cells right now. But eventually, when someone's going to make one, hopefully we'll get some footage submitted so we can see ZYGARDE complete in action in Go Battle League as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.